He sits on an 8-figure net worth with zero debt and hasn't called his general manager in over 2 years. Not because he doesn't care, but because he built it so well that there's nothing left to talk about. Jonathan went from nearly homeless at 28 to an 8-figure net worth with zero debt. All cash, no leverage. He built a business in the log home industry, sold it, bought a lumber company, cut the staff from 15 down to 4, and turned it into a machine that runs itself while he lives in Thailand. He broke it down to me like this. Everyone's focused on what's in front of them. The money, the career, the next big deal. But there are 2 things behind you that will take you out if you're not paying attention. Your body and woman. Get those 2 locked down, and he says the money becomes the easiest part. Leave them uncontrolled, and it doesn't matter how much you make, they'll drain you by 75% or more. We lit up and Jonathan had his first real cigar experience right there. He started talking about how to appropriately motivate employees, how a $5,000 trip to Japan is actually the lazy way out compared to figuring out each person's love language, and how the bar to win in life is embarrassingly low if you just show up. In this episode, we get into buying businesses with no money, why he thinks starting from scratch is for the birds, the exact playbook for approaching a baby boomer business owner and taking over their company, and why burn the boats is the most overrated advice in business. This is Breaking Cigars with Jonathan Fife.
John, great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Today I have prepped for us 2 different kinds of cigars. The first one is the notorious Conor McGregor cigar.
Notorious.
The Notorious brand. And this one is a very interesting one. And also, I don't know if I'm going to butcher the name of it, but the Umnum cigar, the Umnum or the Umnum. And to give a little bit of the history on both of these, because I'm a little bit of a cigar history snob. Specifically for the Notorious brand, the wrapper is a 4-year aged Ecuadorian Habano paired with a Mexican San Andre binder and a Nicaraguan and Dominican filler. So it has tobaccos from 4 different countries inside of this thing. And the blend actually took about 2 years of meticulous testing and blending to develop. Usually with cigars that are coming from celebrities, they're marked up quite high. This one is usually a cheaper cigar. It's around $14 in the US, but here in Thailand, in Bangkok, it's about 3 times that price, which is very interesting. They tend to mark up the cigars quite a bit. And the reviews are split on the cigar. Some people like it, some people don't. The double Robusto, and this I believe is a Robusto or a Corona size, tends to get very good reviews, but some people tend to not like it. But this is a medium-bodied cigar, and then the Umnum pays tribute to the indigenous cultures of Central America, where tobacco was believed to be a bridge between the gods and humans. Only the shamans, known as the Sukia, had the privilege of smoking it during sacred rituals. And you can see here the ring displays the image of the Sukia spirit, and the black background represents the world of dreams, while the gold represents fire and ash, the indivisible elements of cigars. I smoked this one actually on Monday before we went out for some steaks, and really enjoyed this one. Also medium-bodied, a little bit cheaper than the Notorious cigar by McGregor. What would you like to try? And I think you mentioned that you haven't really ever smoked cigars.
Not really into a medium-bodied cigar. I like a heavy. I'm joking. This is my first cigar. I've certainly got to be your first interview that's never smoked a cigar. But I've never smoked a cigar. I've never smoked anything in my life. So
that's totally fine. And I can
if
walk
you
you through
choose to, you're going to see my virginity be lost here.
Which one? Do you want the Shaman cigar or do you want the Notorious cigar, the Conor McGregor cigar? Because I have both right here. You can choose whichever one you need.
I love Conor McGregor's mentality. So let's go with Conor McGregor. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. And then I'm going to walk you through your first cut. Now, here we have like a very interesting cube for cigar cutting that they usually have at different cigar lounges. And it has a straight cut, it has a D cut, and then there's maybe 2 other different types of cuts that you can go for. Now, people tend to fight over different cuts a lot because they do change up the taste. A cigar can taste completely different depending on how you cut it. And so, for example, I had one cigar recently. It's like my favorite cigar, but I had it in punch form as opposed to straight cut form. And I was like, man, I don't like this cigar. I just don't like it. I suggest for your first.
It makes a difference in how it's cut and how it tastes.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
Exactly. Because of the way that it falls in your palate.
Okay.
And so I would recommend doing a straight cut. And when you cut it, essentially I would cut just the tip of it where it's not too much, because if you cut too low, let's say if you cut it all the way down to here, the cigar will start to unravel. And so you want to typically cut out what's called the shoulder, where you can see kind of there's a few different layers of binding. And then in between those layers, essentially what you do is you put in just the tip. And I think it even, there's even a stopper here, if I can see it correctly. I think there's a stopper that tells you exactly where to cut, and then you just press down.
Okay.
In that case, I think I'll match you with a Notorious cigar myself. Beautiful cut.
How's that? No.
And for situations where one cuts too much, sometimes depending on the build of the cigar, it starts to unravel on its own as you smoke it, which is totally fine. And for those situations, there are typically stuff like cigar glue. I have a good friend, I believe he's still out in Berlin, who is the owner of something called Cig glue, which one can use to bring the cigars back together. And so when we light it, this thing is a freaking massive weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Usually torch lighters aren't that big, they're smaller. And this flame is very, very heavy. And so I'll see if I can turn it down just a little bit, because I think there's a way to do it. Well, this thing unlocks it. This thing unlocks it maybe here. Yeah, this thing brings it off. There you go. So a much gentler flame is usually better, because if it's too much, it will tend to overburn the cigar. And you want to keep it at a distance, because then you're just destroying the cigar taste and you're not going to really taste anything. So let's say I have it on and I bring it about a few inches. And something that's a good idea to do, that I've put into practice ever since starting the channel and kind of learning more about the world of cigars, is toasting is very important for the taste. Now, in your case, because this is going to be your first cigar, number one, don't ever feel like you have to smoke the entire thing.
Okay.
It's all about how you feel, especially your first time. It's like, oh, hey, like I'm starting to feel nauseous. I did something very silly about 4 years ago when I first started smoking cigars. I went for the biggest cigar in the room. Just because I was like, fuck it, this can be fun. And because of that, I felt kind of nauseous throughout the whole day, and I couldn't even finish the bad boy. So never feel pressured or the need to finish the cigar in its entirety. Of course, it is good custom to finish it, but because this is your first cigar, there's no need to feel way too lightheaded or off or nauseous.
Expect there to be a lot of coughing.
It's totally fine. And then when you smoke, notice I'm not inhaling into the lungs. You're going to start coughing right away if you do that. I just pull into the mouth. So I'm activating like my throat muscles to essentially pull it to the mouth, leave it in the mouth, and then just push out through the mouth as well.
Okay.
I'm puffing on it. And you can see here, the cherry, the red on it, is glowing. It's burnt all around, and it's a pretty decent light.
Okay.
And then press right there. Yeah.
Push there. Okay. Hold it. Okay.
A little bit further out. And so you're lightly toasting it. I usually like to overdo it. I like toast it for like 40 seconds before fully lighting it. But the way you're doing it is perfectly fine as well. First impression of this one, I think my palate might be a little bit messed up from the sugary drink.
Yes.
And sparkling water is a great palate cleanser.
How am I looking here?
Looking great. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Why do I keep going? Explain to me.
So you can even give it a puff. Essentially, you want to go to the point where you can kind of all of it light up. So if you look at your cigar, there's still black spots versus mine would have been all red. You've done a great job of lighting up the edges. What I would do is kind of aim it directly in the center now.
Okay.
And any spots where it's like black, I would want it to essentially turn red. And you're maintaining a solid distance, which is great because that's not going to overburn the cigar.
Pretty red, right?
Go for it now.
Because that
Looks great. There's still a few black spots left.
Okay.
So what I would do is, so you see here, like there's gray here, and then there's still a little bit of black left here. So what I would do is I would just light up that part. And basically you're good to go.
Okay.
What's the initial impression?
Can definitely say it's the best cigar I've ever had in my life.
At least that. For me, it's
May I ask how much this costs?
I think this one was if it converted, oh yeah, so 1,200 baht, something like that. Which
1,200. Okay, so that's about 30 US dollars, something around there. 30 to 40 US dollars.
exactly. But in America, it's cheaper. I think this particular spot in Bangkok charges a bit more, quite a bit more for the same cigars that, let's say, if we were to go to even Latvia, where tobacco and cigars aren't cheap, but it's still going to be way cheaper than here because they import.
So am I ready? Should I tap this right now?
So
Oh, no, I don't, because you have way more white stuff than I do.
depending on the build of the cigar, sometimes the cigar will start falling apart and it'll start because of the way that it was maintained, because of the humidity, because it hasn't been well taken care of, or the build isn't right. It starts sprawling and it starts getting like all over your white pants, and that's not ideal. A cigar can go like a inch, 2 inches, to even, like, I've seen this as much as like 5 inches of the
Okay.
cigar because of the build. If the
starts-
build is excellent and if the maintenance is excellent, like you can have quite a large cigar pile there, quite a big ash pile. But typically I would start doing it. I would wait maybe till about this much before I tap up with
All right, I'm ready to learn how to blow it out my nose. How do I do that?
Ooh, retrohaling. So as you have a little bit of smoke in your mouth, when you breathe out, the way I would start is breathe out fully, and then the last little bit, breathe out through your nose.
Okay.
And you're going to actually taste more notes of this.
Okay, here we go.
And it's a good thing you remind me, because sometimes I forget to do that. And you end up tasting way more of the same cigar. But I wouldn't exhale fully through the nose. Actually, let me try. I don't even know. I have to try it again. Yeah, it's too overwhelming if it's just through the nose.
And as your listeners will hear, I'm a bit congested. Probably sound a little nasally as I'm talking.
But yes, for me, cigars, it's like, and the whole premise of the channel, it's like, cigars is just an excuse for me to meet with cool people like you. And you and I have met, maybe it's been already close to either 2 years or 3 years, because we met first time in Montreal at a networking event. I believe that was in 23.
We've met then on 3 continents.
Yeah.
North America, Middle East, and Asia.
And you've been traveling all over. Mind sharing with the audience a little bit about what it is that you do? How did you get to Bangkok? Where did you start?
Um, I I came to Asia for the first time as I'd met someone here and began about 10 years, exactly 10 years ago. I started traveling to Asia, and I've been to a handful of Asian countries, and I have a very, very strong preference to Thailand. In fact, I'd say it's not close as far as my preference goes. That said, because a lot of young guys are looking to uproot and go to different places, I think Thailand is probably on a slight downhill slide. It's not a uh, out of control slide like most of the Western countries are, but it's probably going to be peaked. It peaked, and it's going to be going down. If I were a young guy looking to set up roots and try Asia, I'd be trying the other countries. I'd be trying Vietnam, Cambodia, maybe in the near future Myanmar. We'll be ready for people to start trying that. Philippines, yeah, maybe, but yeah, and of course China is always such a heavy player, but I'd always be considering China as a place to set up shop.
And is it now more so because these countries are developing at a very rapid pace that you'd recommend places outside of Thailand? Like, are they starting to compete with Thailand in some perspective? Or why would you recommend places outside of Thailand?
It mainly is because my perspective on Thailand is that it's peaked already and will be starting to in certain ways is already starting to kind of go downward. So I would always like to be catching something on its way up. Vietnam is the one that really jumps out as the country that a lot of people mention as being on its way up. The economy is moving upwards. Anyway, I just if Thailand's great, I'm not going to go be going anywhere else other than here. But if I've already started like learning the language, trying to get some small business inroads, things like that. Asia's very, very tough to do business in. It's I shouldn't speak for every country, but my small amount of experience here is you're definitely playing from the outside, whereas like America, obviously I'm American. It's an advantage to be foreign, and there's so many advantages. You can get everybody's rooting for you and things like that. That's not the case here. No, nobody's rooting for your success. You're something to be extracted from, and that's good. Good for the people here. That's the way business should be done. That's how you should run a country. It should be about your countrymen, about your people, and outsiders that come in can come, but you should be on the outside. So I accept it. But no, my quality of life here is exactly what I want, and I'm happy.
And just to clarify, are your businesses based out of Thailand or
No, nothing, nothing, no business here. And so, of, the only business enterprise that I have in Thailand is that I'm buying condos to rent. I would love to get to a 6-figure USD, return in rentals, for a year. And I'd be very pleased. 6 figures USD here is plenty to live on. It's a good income, and that would allow me to live here and essentially not be pulling from my U.S. incomes, U.S. resources, all that sort of thing. Because I feel like I should be eating what I'm killing. You know what I mean? That concept.
Yeah.
Eat what you kill, and so I'd like to get to an income over here from condos, that sort of thing. As a foreigner, you've got to pay cash for everything. Like there's no potential to borrow money over here to buy condos. So it's sort of extract money from the U.S., buy real estate here, condos. You can only buy as a foreigner something off the ground. I can never buy land, which again, you know, I wish anything America was like this, that only Americans can buy land in America. That's not the case. Anybody can come over, to America and buy land. So I can never buy land here in Thailand. I can only buy something that goes above the land.
Interesting.
Yep.
And how do you find the real estate market to be here? And it's actually, funny enough, my parents that have been very dissatisfied with the state of Canada. I'm Canadian. I'm from Toronto. Spent 20 years in Canada, served in the Canadian Armed Forces. I've been very dissatisfied with the state of my country, and that's what made me choose Latvia, an Eastern European country that has a very good balance between kind of East and West, where everyone speaks either English or Russian, which is perfect for me because I'm bilingual. And my parents asked me recently, because they've been looking to move, they're sort of considering Thailand because there's a lot of Russian speakers here, especially in Phuket. But they were asking me about the state of real estate here. What are your thoughts on real estate in major cities here?
My thoughts on it, I'm not a real estate expert ever in any country, less so of one in Thailand. So I'm just purely going for, this is how, I'll tell you how I'm positioned. I'm positioned purely as real estate, hopefully being about equal to putting my money in a bank account. So that's about it. I'm looking at it literally as, if I buy something for 5 million baht, which 5 million baht for your audience is about 150,000 US dollars, 175,000 US dollars, something like that, about the normal cost of a condo. If I buy something for 5 million, I hope in 10 years from now I can sell it for maybe 5 or 6 million. That's all I'm thinking about. Is just, is it going to be stable? I'm confident that the money will be stable. Do I think it's going to appreciate greatly? I don't think it probably will. It'd be, and for me, it would be nothing but that would just be like icing on the cake. So no, not an expectation of mine. I just don't know enough about the market to know what it would take to get in what locations appreciate. Yeah, I'm just not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about, it's like putting money in the bank accounts. I can get rental income off of it. And that's it.
Got it. And when it comes to the businesses that you're on, what has been your focus as of late?
The only business that I have that actually makes money, I mean, I've got some LLCs and stuff, but a lot of that is just about how you're positioning yourself for taxes and whatnot. The only thing that I have some real estate that makes money, and then I've got a lumber business in the USA. That's my only source of income. So I'm going to step back and say something very broad to your audience. I'm 49 years old. I've got plenty of money to, not like a lot of money, but I've got plenty of money that I don't have to work anymore, things like that. And I've not been working very much. So, a very smart person that was very successful told me about 5 years ago, he said, only take advice from people that have been doing what you're going to do within like the last 6 months, because beyond 6 months, it's too stale. And that's the truth. So, I was really cutting my teeth and growing business-wise over the last, let's say from the years 2005 until 2020. I was really deep into okay, how do you grow a business? What do you do? And at that time I had good, smart, cutting edge information. And I'm going to be honest, I'd say at this point I'm stale on all that kind of things. So where I'm not stale, so as an audience listening to me thinking of what can I, as a 25-year-old guy or 30-year-old guy, what do I take from this? Number one is obviously take any cautionary tales. Number two is try to extract the wisdom of big picture views of how I see money or see the world or things like that. That's worthy to be extracted from. As far as practically what's going on in day to day in my business and all that, I don't think I have a tremendous amount to offer of value. And I think it's good for your audience to hear somebody say that. And I've also got nothing to sell. I wish I I wish this ended with like a link to my course or something like that. I've got nothing. I got nothing to sell yet. So always pay attention to what whoever you're listening to. Have they done it recently? And if they haven't done it recently, probably what they've got to say is stale. That's the truth. Yeah. So I've got a lumber business in America. I've been very fortunate to have a certain skill set that allows me to build things in such a way that I'm very good at having it operate without me touching it. I've built certain skills that have made me be able to achieve that. Somebody super financially aggressive would consider me rightly so lazy, because I'm pretty content with a business doing okay and just kind of going up little bits. My experience is that if you're wanting things like 50% growth, 5x growth, things like that, you've got to be extraordinarily involved in the business, and you're going to have to be there making fast decisions at all times. Yeah. Again, and maybe I'm lazy. I guess I'm lazy. I don't know. I've got enough money, more than I would ever need, unless I just was spending in ways that at this point in my life would seem absurd. And so it's hard for me to make the decision of, well, I think I'm going to go back to America and live a life I don't want to live, so that I can make a little bit more money in order to spend more money, and have nicer quality carpets or hardwood inside my floor. And that's what I'll do with that money. Or I can live here in Asia and like literally this morning, I had no clue I was even going to drive into Bangkok to see you. And I drove into Bangkok to see you, and I'm going to stay here, and I might stay tonight. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do tonight. But I know this, I'm going to choose, because tomorrow I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. And if I want to go to a beach tomorrow, I will. And if I want to stay there for a day or 250 days, I will. And I'm going to do absolutely anything that I want to do. And I'm not going to be controlled by anyone or anything or any outside circumstance. That's what I choose. That's my life. And I've financially set myself up in a way that I'm able to do that at the level that I want to do it at. Am I able to do it with like private jets? No, I don't have that kind of money. Could I buy supercars if I wanted to? Yeah, I could have one at each one of my houses. Would that start then affecting my long-term prospects of what my future is then going to look like? I'm going to start thinking about, geez, well, now I've got these supercars. Now I've got to maintain these things. Now I got to have parking for these things. How much are these things going to cost me over the future? Oh, geez, my income probably doesn't support that. All right, well, I've got the supercars, but at what cost? And it's a cost that I don't want to deal with. So I've been very good about setting up my life exactly how I want, and not being focused on impressing anyone. I don't care if your audience is like, oh, he doesn't even have a Lamborghini. No, I don't. Drove in a Ford Raptor. Pretty cool truck, but that's enough for me. I'm not. Yeah. So I would say to your audience, be very clear. Say to you, very clear about focused in. What is it that you want? And it's good to overshoot that, but don't overshoot it in exchange for like losing the life that you want.
And I would reframe what you said from kind of having a lazier lifestyle, or what some people call his lifestyle, to like a lifestyle of freedom, because you worked your ass off for 15, 20, 30 years to get yourself in a financially free position to do whatever the hell it is that you want, wherever the hell you want.
Yeah. The lazy component is that I could put in a little bit more effort and probably be setting myself up better for the future, or my loved ones, things like that. Or could be thinking about things like generational wealth. Not really sure how I even feel about something like that, but there are a lot of people that are really thinking big they're thinking in terms of generations, things like that.
And when it came to the lumber business, so that was around for 15 years and still running. And are you still participating in that business as an owner investor as opposed to an owner operator? Kind of, what does the start of it even look like? How did you start that business, and how did it grow into what it is today?
Let me come back to that. Let me first ask you, it appears my cigar has lost its fire.
Great question.
So, what do we do about this?
With any cigar that has lost fire, we first want to get rid of the ash.
Okay.
Usually there is like a little utensil. I don't think I have it with me today. Actually, no, yes, I do. Let me show you. So there's a little tool that I enjoy, and it's in my pouch. And I love this thing, and I usually give it out on Christmas. But it's this little utensil here that doubles as a punch and as a fork. And this little fork I use to clean out the ash. And I do it gently, where I just lightly scrape the inside of the cigar without damaging too much the wrapper.
So you're actually going inside the wrapper somewhat and digging out.
Yeah, digging out the ash, because when we relight it, we're just relighting the ash, so we're not really lighting up the cigar. We want to clean it out, and it can be just, you can do it with a wrapper, you can do it with a fork like this. And this fork I use actually later on, and I pincer the end of it to smoke it until my lips burn. I'm that kind of guy. I smoke until the very end. Some people,
Is because that's fun to you, or as like a value thing?
it's to me, it's like I like to enjoy the cigar to its fullest. It's kind of like finishing a meal fully.
I got it. That makes sense.
And from one perspective, some people might call it scarcity mindset, where it's like, hey, like, screw it, whatever, man, just get another cigar. Sure, but I just enjoy, like, it feels like, to me, when I get a cigar from a place, it feels like I give respect to the cigar, and I give respect to its creator, and give respect to the lounge by finishing the meal to its fullest. Especially because I don't know too many people that literally do it to the very end, to the point where their lips burn. Obviously not all the time, but
I would never want to blame a thought like that to scarcity. There are very few things in life that feel better to me than getting an extraordinary value, or getting saving money, or like getting a great deal on something, or getting maximum value out of something. That's like an amazing, amazing feeling.
it feels amazing to know that you're getting the maximum value out of life.
You worked very hard. If that thing cost you 30 baht or 30 which side do this is my mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. This thing cost you 30 euros.
Why not enjoy it to its fullest?
Okay, here, let me tell you something I'd say about money.
Chef.
Obviously, the newbie here. I think about money, and before I stab myself on this guy. My first job I ever had at 16 years old, not my first job that ever got like a paycheck. It got like a paycheck written out, was doing construction work, and like going up on roofs, and hot, and getting sunburned, and crazy hard work. And I got paid $6 an hour for that work. At 16 years old, that would have been the year 1990, 1993. And from there, I probably maxed out at labor jobs at about $12 an hour, maybe like in college, something like that, doing some labor construction work, $12 an hour. It does not matter what I do, I think of money in terms of value at $6 to $12 an hour. That is the truth. When you tell me this cost you $30 for this cigar, it still goes into my head that it will take me 5 hours of labor, maybe 3 hours of labor, between 3 to 5 hours of labor in the hot, doing something I don't want to do for some guy that I don't want to be working for, waking up at 5 to 6 a.m. to go show up at this job, in order for me to pay for that cigar. Nowadays, maybe it takes me 1 minute to earn that amount of money for that cigar. I rarely think in that term though. I rarely think in that term. I almost always think in the terms of there was a day when it took me 3 to 5 hours of doing something I didn't want to do to earn that. And are there times that I have to control that thought to keep from going to like a scarcity place? Yes, but I love it though. I love that balance of realizing that that cigar might have taken me 3 to 5 hours, and maybe in current days it maybe take me, a minute or whatever. But I enjoy considering both of those and using them to my whatever my benefit is. So here's how I think in terms of that. When it comes to wasting a cigar, I'm thinking about there was a time in my life that it took me 5 hours of literally backbreaking work for that cigar. If I leave here and I get a ticket that costs me $150, I brush it off, and in most cases, I say it's 5 minutes of work, and I just move on from it because it's now at this point out of my control. It happened. Maybe I want to flip that and think about it and be like, John, do you want to drive differently in the future? Because $150 was 2 days of labor, and then I switch back to that $6 mode, right? But if it's out of my control and I'm like, it's done, what's done is done, I'm not thrilled that I just lost $150 on a car ticket. I look at it and say, 5 minutes of work, moving on.
Yeah, you frame it in a way that is most beneficial to
100%.
and the mindset and your situation serves you, not the other way around. And that mindset, I think, is also very good for two things. Number one, it shows that you're a good steward of your wealth. Number two, we get to practice gratitude in those things. And when you said, when you described your initial job at 16, like that reminded me a lot of where I came from as well. Being on roofs, installing satellite dishes with my dad, working for Bell, which is still the biggest communications provider in Canada. And then also the cameras and alarms business. My first kind of real job where I was actually employed and getting paid a salary was for 12 Canadian an hour, which I think nowadays is maybe 8 or 9 US an hour. And that was being on a ladder and selling cameras on the 3-floor residential buildings. And so that was a lot of fun. And I still also think on these terms where it's like, hey, I would not have been able to appreciate these fine things just a few years ago.
Yeah. Yep. It's true. It really is true.
And so are you still involved in these businesses to some capacity as owner investor? Or did you completely step back and it's operating and you have all these systems in place that you've set up over the past 15 years and it's bringing in revenue?
So my initial business that I cut my teeth on, I kind of went from construction into the log home industry. And I had a business in the log home industry, which was where I grew. Like that's what everything that I know about business, about dealing with people, about dealing with employees, about building systems, anything like that, started from this particular business. I sold that in 2021. And I had bought one thing you were asking me about was my experience of like buying and selling businesses. I have experience with it. It's not vast experience or anything, but it's absolutely very small business experience. Very, salt of the earth, bread and butter kind of businesses like, service tech. And my current lumber business is retail, some service, things like that. I sold the log home business in 21. Prior to that time, in 2017, the business that I was in, the log home business, I was able to purchase the lumber business, which was a kind of vertical integration. pretty close to being a direct vertical integration of my service business, so that I became the supplier to my service business. Um, Upon buying that business, I immediately knew, okay, starting businesses is absolutely for the birds. It's all about buying a business. Like, that's the only thing. Um, Part of that, I think, is age related. Like, your creativity. This is kind of going to be a bad spell maybe, but I unfortunately it's kind of true. I think your creativity, it sort of peaks in your life, probably in your 20s, and starts waning in your 30s. That was my experience. And I think that's good. I think that's actually okay. So your 20s is your max creativity. But then once you start getting up in your mid late 30s or whatever, you should be looking at capitalizing on somebody that younger and more creative than you, and you bringing what you have, which is the financial resource, to the table, and in capitalizing in that way. So 17, I bought the lumber business. I immediately, it took what was a stale business and a very, very dated business, and immediately modernized it, and took it from like, I believe it had like 15 employees when I bought it, and uh, took it down to like 4 employees. Um, and you can imagine where that money went, right? Straight in my pocket, which was the goal. I bought it immediately looking at it saying, okay, inefficient. There's one thing in life I'm good at, it's efficiency. Very, very connected to my obesity is efficiency. And so I just had an extraordinary skill for being very, very efficient with business, and took that, streamlined it, and immediately realized, I was like, there's just, on the day to day, there's just not much for me to do here. Like, it operates itself. It runs itself. So I tried to grow the business, and I put about a year and a half of energy into trying to grow the business, and from boots on the ground, selling, to technology, everything that I could throw at it, the business skills that I'd built, I threw at this business to make it really, really grow, and make it just really, really, increase the value of what I'd bought it for. What do you think happened? Any guesses?
Just by trying to grow it?
Yeah, yeah. With my business skill set, having grown a business by like 30% per year, over and over and over.
Considering that your approach is more so cutting, making it lean and meaty, and growing it, I imagine it grew quite a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. It has not grown a bit since I bought it. Not a dollar,
In retrospect, I think that is.
because it was maxed out when I bought it.
What was the limiting factor?
Oh, that's an interesting question. The limiting factor,
Was it the total addressable market?
um, possibly. It probably, I would have to grow, maybe market to a wider place, but the entirety of my marketing is that I'm on a highway, and so everybody knows who I am, where I am, because you drive past the highway, and of course we're that person that does this thing.
Mhm.
I tried all sorts of marketing to get us, but people either already knew who we were, or we'd have to expand out too far to where they didn't care who we were. And it was just maxed out. Could a better business person than me have done better with it? Probably so. I've no doubt. I have zero ego about these kind of things like this. None at all. Do I care? Yeah, of course I care. It's money. Do I sort of not care though? I also absolutely sort of don't care. Because essentially for the last 10 years, I've 8 years now. I've had a business that throws off a really nice chunk of money, a good profit percentage, with a super streamlined footprint. And it requires, I'll say this, I'll go ahead and say it. my general manager there is very pragmatic and good at just solving his problems. Doesn't like to bring me in on things. How long do you think it's been since I talked to him? Like, what would you just expect for a business? Does low to mid 7 figures business. How often do you think I speak with him?
Once a week meeting sync.
Okay, so you think you'd be able to keep it down to once a week? Is that what you think?
Depending on your level of involvement, if he is operating it and you've stepped back living in another country, I imagine at this point today, probably once a week.
Yeah, like a once a week meeting. Right, right. I've not spoke to him on the phone in over 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I know your audience is like, just thinks I'm probably like joking or whatever. It's not a joke. I don't make enough money to to make a joke about this. Like, it's not that. It's just that that's how you can operate if you want to. Like, I've got a handful of metrics that I find out about, but there's absolutely, don't forget this. You don't have to squeeze, what do you call it? Squeeze juice from a turnip or something we say. But essentially, if you have something that you kind of feel like, I don't think the amount of energy it's going to take for me to change this is worth it. And I could probably put my energy over here and just buy another business. That's what I want to do. It's okay to do that. Like, it's okay to just go like, okay, this business is this size. It serves these people. It makes this amount of money. And next year it's going to do the exact same thing. That's my situation. And everybody's happy. The employees are happy. They know exactly what they're getting into every day. I'm not introducing new employees into the mix to shake things up. Could be in a good way, could shake it up, but a lot of times it's the bad way. I've just got like a real solid, steady stream of money that comes in, and I will be able to sell that business extraordinarily easily for that reason. Like, it's just super steady, super solid. You can come in and buy my business tomorrow from me, and you can just take over my role of talking to the manager every 2 years, if that's what you want to do. And then you've just purely invested your money. Let's say I sold it to you at a 5x of the bottom line, plus the cost of assets or whatever. That means that for 5 years, you're working for free to pay off this business. And then once that's done, just because you invested 5 years of resource into it, now you've just got something that just generates money for you for nothing. You took a little bit of risk. That's it. That's what buying a business is. Yeah.
And that's the magic of being an owner investor and having capital to play with.
Right.
You can take over businesses, optimize them, and just let them run while it's repaying. And then after that, they just continue to generate revenue, assuming that there's no black swan events.
Right. No, like, there's not even have to be black swan events, just that what if you go to my town right now you're 28, right?
27, yeah.
So you go to my town and you got all the energy of the world, and you actually have some, man, talking about scaring me, you actually got some money too or something like that. How am I going to fight you? Like, that's the truth. Like, how do I fight you off at 28 with, you've got resources, whether that's your own money or whatever, and you're actually skilled and talented and things like that. Now I've got legit competition. So that's not even a black swan. That's just reality of what can happen. So if you put yourself in my seat, then I've got to always be thinking about that and thinking, how and when do I sell, or do I want to reengage? Like that's the reality is, or do I bring in management that can keep things as they are, or keep a status quo, or be growing it? Otherwise, that's always got to be thinking about that. It's like, do I sell, or do I just keep going as it is? Yeah.
And it's how you could very key component of that revenue engine is having a very competent operator that, like you said, you haven't spoken to him in over a year on the phone. That's very tough to do. And this is probably more so legacy industry, stuff like construction are very legacy industry. They're not falling away anytime soon, even with AI, even with all this crazy tech. And myself coming from a space of health tech, med tech, where AI is changing every 6 months. You guys are probably not experiencing as much turbulence, at least yet.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a very key component of that is having the right people in your team. How do you pick the right people in your team that allow you all this time back?
I always start with I've just actually got to like the person and like just feel good in their presence. I don't want to feel a little bit of pressure in their presence or something like that, but it's got to be a good stress or a good pressure. Is what I'm looking for. And then in every role is different. Like let's say if it's an office lady, that's going to be the very first face you see as you walk into the business. That's a very different set of skills and also a very different set of expectations I have for what my relationship to that person is going to be compared to the person that is my, hands-on manager, that's going to maybe have some responsibility like firing vendors or, even employees and things like that. So those are all sort of different things. But like when it comes to like leadership and all that sort of thing, I've always done well and been able to, because I've just been a systems person, and I've been again, this sort of ties into the weight thing is I didn't want to be the face of anything in the middle of it. And so that always got me in situations then where I was being like, okay, how do I build this job out for this person so that this role executes in this sort of way and I'm not needed. I'm not required to be anything, including the face. And that always tended to end with people that were very much self-starters. And then I would kind of optimize for, do you want to talk to me every day? Do you enjoy that? Well, I like to get my work done. Okay. Would you be okay if I just talked to you once a week? And they're like, yeah, I mean, that'd be fine with me. And would you be okay if I only talk to you once a week, but you report to me these metrics? And as long as those metrics are at least flat and optimally going up, we just will talk. How's that sound to you? Anatoly, I love you. I think you're a great guy and stuff, but I don't honestly want to talk to you on the phone every day. I just don't. Like, that's not me. I know that's not my preference. So you find people then that feel that same way that are like, yeah, wait, you mean you're telling me we don't talk all the time? No, I'd rather not talk to you. You cool with that? I'm cool with that. Cool. Now let's do it. Let's just report to each other these things. How's that sound? Sounds fantastic. That's so you optimize for who you are. Now I know a lot of people that are a lot different than that. Like I know people that are just like, they like to talk to their staff because they like to talk to their staff. I mean, I love my staff. I love every one of them. Like I do all sorts of good things for them, care about them and all that. But I've sort of optimized for people that aren't needy in that sort of a way, and people that like to solve problems. And one way that so again, male, female is different. Position of the company is different. Here's a story about a girl.
Did you want me to relight your cigar?
Please.
And it will, there is a period of time with the cigar where if you, let's say, let it down for 5 minutes, if you don't touch it within 5 to 7-ish minutes, that's when it's really going to start going out.
Okay. So I need to, every 5 minutes or so, I need to go get it heated up again.
If you're feeling like it.
Okay. I'm not inhaling anything, so I'm not really feeling, I actually don't even know what it would require to inhale it. I guess you just at some point got to take the risk and just suck down some smoke, right?
Maybe, but not down the lungs. Are you feeling anything from the cigar at this point?
I don't think so. But like I said, I think I just feel like the smoke go into my mouth.
Right, because compare how much I've smoked versus how much you smoke.
Okay.
You barely have any nicotine in you right now, but once you get to about here, you're probably gonna feel a nice, gentle buzz. And
what does a buzz feel like?
Like a nicotine buzz. It's I'm right now, my state versus 15 minutes ago, it's even more relaxed, even more at rest, even more
relaxed, not buzzed. I expected to feel like more like jitters, like
It can
caffeine.
get to that. It can get that if
Okay.
you overdose in nicotine.
Yeah,
I don't know if you had those nicotine pouches or if you smoked cigarette before
never have.
for the best. And yeah, one can definitely overdo it. Sometimes in the evenings when I go to the cigar lounge and have a smoke, I get like anxiety sometimes, and that's when you overdo it. But for work, caffeine and nicotine are my go-to miracle drugs.
I see. Yeah.
But sorry, I interrupted your story. You were gonna tell a story about a girl.
Okay. So this will be this is the sort of thing that everyone should be able to find very practically applicable. So I had this employee, and she was lovely and kind, and just all those kind of things you want to do. But I want more. Like I want go make a sale for me, like upsell this, whatever. Like you need to be always doing a little bit more. And anyway, there was a point. I can't remember what exactly prompted this, but she was trying to get her to take on a new task and a new role, and she just had a million questions and just couldn't just be like, okay, we need to get here. Let me just start going and see what happens. Whatever. She like wanted to know every little step and every, just like not willing to take any kind of risk, at all. And I brought her in my office, and I said to her, I said, hey, I need you. I can't hold your hand every day here and take you to where I need you to go. I need you to just start going there and get this done for us. We need you to do this role. We need you to accomplish this thing. And you just need to take some steps and just work on it and get it done. And I could just see all the stress in the world on her in this conversation. She's hating this. And so I kind of push on it a little bit. And I was like, what is it you're thinking? What are you feeling here? And she says, I'm not comfortable with what you're asking me to do because I just really don't want to screw it up, which is a very common thing employees say, right? Like, I don't want to mess it up. If I mess it up, and so she says, because if you mess it up, I know you, and you're going to be really upset, and you're not going to be happy. And I just kind of looked at her. I said, of course I'm not going to be happy. And she's like, yes. And I see her, tense shoulders, everything. And she's like, yes, you're not going to be happy. And so I don't want that. That's why I'd rather you just tell me exactly what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And I said, that's not what I want. I said, I want you to do it. I said, listen to me. Scholar Jennifer. I said, listen to me, Jennifer. I said, if you do this job that I'm telling you to do now, and you mess it up and do a bad job at it, I'm going to be very upset with you. And she looks at me and just kind of looking at me. And then I kind of like, I was kind of looking like stern, and then I just intentionally just kind of like softened as I was looking at her, and I smiled. And I said, but Jennifer, I will still love you though. And the moment I said that, like just everything just went away from her. And it was the truth. And she knew it was the truth. This is the important thing, because she knows that I love her. And I said, I'm going to absolutely be upset at you if you mess this up. And I'm absolutely also still going to love you. Do you understand that? And she's like, yes. And I said, okay. I said, you've got to keep that in mind. I said, that is the truth. Anything about this work here, that does not change anything about how I feel about you as a person. I still love you. I still care about you. I said, the way this is going to work is that you're going to mess this up, and I'm going to say, come on, Jennifer, I told you that you needed to accomplish this, and we needed to get this done today, and you didn't get it done. I'm not happy. I need you to perform better than that. And I said, I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to say, oh, by the way, how's little Belle doing at home, her dog, And I said, because this is not you. This is our work. This is a task. I still am going to ask you how your dog's doing, and is your dog feeling any better?
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you what you're going to do this weekend. I'm going to ask you if you've tried this new restaurant. And I said, I'm going to say that literally 5 seconds after I tell you that you're not doing good enough and you need to get better. I said, do you get it? She's like, yes, I get it. And smiles. And that was probably like 7 years ago. And, she's a fantastic employee. That's it. Like, it is just one conversation of just letting somebody know and letting them understand that what I feel about you in what I expect from you in is work is not the same thing as my love. And most people conflate those two things and they think they're the same thing. And they're not. And the easiest way to handle that is just to be clear about it with somebody. You know, that's it. That's it.
Absolutely. And empathy is super, super key. And even within the startup space, like I've come to realize the stuff that we ask of our team, we ask of a lot. Like when you're in the trenches all the time, fighting tooth and nail to bring more leads in, bring more clients in, attacking the market with this new offer, I've realized that we actually ask for a lot. And I've had to let go of several guys that I love and that I respect and that I would help if they were in a dire situation. And it's very much like, hey man, like business is business. The stuff that we do for work is work, right? And having that duality where it's like, hey man, I care for you, I'm looking out for you, but there is an expectation to perform, I think is super key.
Where do you think you went wrong?
Where I went wrong?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question. I think we've tried several times to bring in people right away versus collecting a larger pool of candidates and really vetting before hiring. Initially, when we first started hiring people, we didn't have any pending assignments. We just said, okay, like this guy came in as a recommendation. We heard this guy speaks English. I tried hiring out of Latvia a lot because I love Latvia. I want to support Latvia. I want to hire Latvians. Latvians have been, it's been challenging to find kind of the right type of profile of people to hire within Latvia. Part of it is the English. Like the level of English that is needed to do sales and to do stuff for editing and copywriting and marketing and sales. It's a pretty high level of English coupled with the ability to grasp the tech, because the startups that we work across, it was like a company within a company within a company. So they weren't just selling one thing. There was a big overlap between the offers. So they were actually selling 3 different things at once. So it's a combination of communication coupled with technical competence that we needed, which is actually a very tight pool of candidates. And the amount of training that we'd have to give to a person that we're essentially hiring from zero is a lot. And I think trying to bring in on the first person that comes to the table that is sort of interested can shoot you. It feels like shooting yourself in the foot, because maybe it's not the right person. And number 2, they need to be incentivized in the right way to really perform.
Yeah. So you think where your self-critiquing is that you're too apt to just get first warm body that comes in and acts interested. You're giving them a shot, really.
Absolutely, because I come from a background of Army. I spent 4 years in the Canadian Armed Forces as engineer officer, and the way I'm built is I see the potential of people.
Yeah.
I like to give people a shot, where if I see someone interested, I'm like, hey, okay, let's do this. Let's see where this goes. And on one hand, it's good because I do believe that everyone has potential, but the amount of caloric expenditure to get them to the level that you want is quite high. And training is in a small team of let's say 5 people within my agency. Every person needs to not just pull their own weight, but be very adaptive and take a lot of initiative in order for things to move forward.
You probably 5 people. You need. It's called a 5-tool player. You ever heard that phrase?
No.
So a 5-tool player, I believe this originates in baseball. So if you're a 5-tool player, that means you're able to hit for average, hit for power, able to field the ball well, have good speed, and like 5-tool means that you're pretty good at a bunch of things.
And they're not just doing one thing, and that's a very key thing. I'm very glad.
And that's a
you
very
brought that up.
different employee than if you have a 250 employees. Yeah.
They're doing a job of 7 different people.
Yeah.
And it's quite crazy. I'll bring up one example. Ben, who works with me in the office apartment that I have. Ben went from video editor to salesperson to marketer, back to editor, and he's doing all these things, to a podcast host, to now kind of like running the sales in one company. Like he's doing the job of 5 different people. Also, clinic success manager. Like he's doing all these different things, and it's the kind of thing where we're not just looking for one guy to send shots downrange and just need a rifle. And no, like that person needs to also know how to drive a tank. That person needs to know how to fly a plane. Like there are all these different things, and a person that doesn't like the heart isn't with the mission, and they're not as adaptable. It's very tough to keep up in the startup environment.
Yeah. I think what I, in your situation, I would sexify that to them. Is that the word? Is that a word? I'd make
It is now.
I'd make it as now. I'd make it sexy to them. Meaning, say, just make sure, because I want to make sure you're the kind of guy that does what I need you to do here. I'm not looking for just like some marketer. I can find a marketer, and maybe a great marketer, but there are certain kinds of people out there. Call them a jack of all trades. Call them a 5-tool player, whatever. I need somebody that's pretty dang good at a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And there will be people that you'll immediately see their eyes light up, and they'll feel really good to hear that, because they're just people that are just like that. Like, oh man, I don't have to just input stuff all day. I get to like do this and then this, and they'll love that. So that'd be just one top of your filter probably to start with. Is let them know I want you to be a 5-tool player. Are you that guy or not? Yeah.
And in your case, how do you incentivize your team? What's the best way to incentivize key members of your team?
You find out what incentivizes them and use that.
What's their love language?
Yeah. The example earlier with Jennifer, what would you guess her love language is, employee love language is?
Well, let's cover maybe like the 5 or 6 love languages that exist. There's like, and this is maybe more so going into kind of the topic of dating as opposed to the topic of business, but there's physical touch, there's gifts, there's words of affection, there's time spent together. What am I missing for?
Quality time?
Quality time?
Say that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So quality time's the other one. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to say this, you're going to think, oh, so this probably most girls are like,
Words of affection?
something in that realm of words of affection, which essentially as an employee means, I appreciate you.
Yes.
I want to hug you. You mean so much to me. And if it was not for you and what you do for me, we would not be where we are. And I care about you. And I am so thankful that you're in my life.
And speaking of things that...
Let me one other thing.
Go ahead.
You'd be blown away by how many of that's the case for men, even though they'll act like it's not.
Bingo.
Yep.
And I think that's one place where I went wrong with one of the guys that was working with me. I absolutely love the guy. And he was working with us for a year, basically lived with us. We were operating on the principle of brotherhood, where he essentially moved from America to Latvia, lived with us. And to me, I'm not like a strong words of affection guy. Like for me, it's more so the actions. Like, hey, let me take care of you financially. Let me get you a gift. Let me make sure you're set up. Like I'm not one to give compliments. Not that it's not my style. It's just it doesn't feel, for me, it just doesn't feel organic between men to give as many compliments. So with him, I believe I might have been too much tough love with him, and he really needed that. Like in retrospect, I think he really um, needed that kind of love.
You needed the tough love, you think?
Well, I gave him the tough love, but I never gave him kind of the compliments and the affirmation that he was looking for
Yeah.
to really see himself in the company long term. I think that's where I went wrong. I didn't give enough empathy to him in the form of communication.
Yeah.
Would have been love language that resonated with him.
Yeah. You have to be a five-tool leader, which means you've got to know how to financially incentivize, and you've got to know how to give tough love. You've got to know how to give on-the-spot criticism so that you don't let anything build. And you've got to know how to do whatever the actual more affection love is, whether that's words or touch is a hard one, but it can be like that can be those soft things. Now, just to make sure that you understand this, because you're getting ready to change in the next 5 minutes, you're never ever gonna make this mistake again, I promise you. You essentially just told me that you love and are good at giving figuring out how to motivate people financially and stuff like that. And but it's harder for you to say the verbal thing. Okay. So let's say I'm your employee and you send me a trip to Japan because of all the great work I've been doing, right? That's what you're saying, is you're skilled at knowing how to push that button for me as your employee, is that you're gonna like send me to Japan and make me super happy and all this sort of thing. At what cost you? $5,000? Fair? John, I am so grateful for you and thankful that you came into my company. And if it was not for you, we would not have been able to got this done, and we would not be moving forward in this way. And I'm just so incredibly thankful for you. It doesn't thank you so much for the hard work that you've been doing. You mean the world to me. You really do. That's the honest truth. That's what I would say. And guess what? I'd be $5,000 richer than you. So think about how you're hamstringing yourself by having that as a weakness. Like not only is it making you less efficient and less effective as a leader, it's actually costing you money, actually costing you real money to be like, oh, dang it, John did a good job. This is getting to Japan and 5,000. I don't want to have to be. I don't want to have to go into my heart here, and tell John that I actually do love him. Like he really truly made a huge impact on the business, my life. He makes my life better, all those kind of things. Now, send him to Japan for $5,000. Right. And that's not even the thing that I wanted. What I wanted to hear was you telling me, that, but I'm appreciated, Yeah, all this that I'm doing, like I'm giving you my actual life force. My limited days here on this earth that I have are being given to Anatoly so that Anatoly can build this beautiful thing that he's building. And I'm building it for you. I'm giving you that. And I just want you to tell me that you love me and that you care about me and that you appreciate me. And those things like that. I just want to know that I'm making a difference, like this is not just to build some AI to what nonsense, whatever,
It's not about the AI. It's a lot of it is, and I think it was talked about within one of the communities. It's like part of the thing that makes, I think it was an interview that was done across older age people in terms of their level of fulfillment in life, and it wasn't the money, it wasn't the physical things, it was the relationships. The relationships is what made life the most fulfilling for them.
Yeah. That's undoubtedly true.
Have you had any key mentors in your life that changed your trajectory drastically?
Business wise, I'm going to say no. All my business mentorship has been digital, meaning just like if the words that I'm saying right now happens to impact some guy in some tremendous way, I'm not actually his coach or mentor or whatever, but that's been my experience. If you want to know the most impactful uh, people in my life, um, the number one as it relates to this component of my life, let's say that, uh, is without a doubt it's Tony Robbins. The handful of people in this world that I've met him, but I'm just like we're like friends. I mean, I've gone to his events, shaking his hand, that sort of thing. Uh, Many people like you'd say, I would give my life for that person because I feel like I owe it to him. He would be literally on a list like that for me. Tony Robbins.
Mhm.
Business wise, to an extent, but more so just like soul wise, like who I am, what I've become as a person, been able to overcome. Uh, so Tony Robbins has been that for me. Um, and then business wise, in like all the soft skills around business, like just how to maintain discipline and even more hard skills like sales, things like that. Uh, Grant Cardone has been. I started reading. I was into Grant Cardone before everybody knew how annoying and out there Grant Cardone was. So 2015, I was following this annoying guy on YouTube, thinking, "Holy cow, this guy's annoying!" But holy cow, he's got so much energy, and what he says is truly effective. His books remain the best business books that I've ever read. All of them. There's like 5 books since at least when he was writing books. Absolutely outstanding books. Um, that's the most there's been so much of what I've learned or become in business that has been self taught and sort of it's a great motivator. Like I had certain motivations in my life that caused me to be like, okay, I've got to find a solution for this. And that leads to tremendous creativity. So yeah, a lot of what I've done has just purely been a matter of, oh man, I have pain. How do I stop having pain? That's it.
Was there a piece of advice that you've received from one of those mentors that has been very impactful for you?
That'd be one I'd have to it'd be more a matter of it being like so many things. Like one Tony Robbins line that's uh without getting too much into like my personal life or like who I am as a person's taking me to where I am. Uh I went from in college being like really at the top of the game, dating the pretty girls and president of my fraternity, a lot of good stuff like that, to struggling with anxiety and panic attacks. It was a long time ago, and I had no clue what that stuff was. All I knew is that I was just having these horrible physical reactions to being with people, and so it made me just start pushing away and getting away from people. So I started closing down in that regard, and traded relationship for eating, and that led to a downward path. This probably really started pulling out of that in about 2015, something around there, and took me some time, but completely resolved all that. Still need to have some health things to finish up with, um, but in that anxiety and panic and all that, like I just would avoid, like I was terrified to fly. Like I just could not conceive of how people were just like getting on planes and how that just was not the most terrifying thing imaginable for them. And anyway, a situation in my life came up that I needed to fly somewhere, and I finally did. And there was a Tony Robbins line, that he says all the time, and it's, if you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. And I remember still being, plane starts just moving a little bit, you know, from the jetway, whatever they call the thing you walk out on, and it starts moving, creeping a little bit. And I was just thinking, I was like, the door, I remember hearing the door close like that. You hear like seal. And I was like, they would never let me off now at this point. I was just like, I was, you know, I'm on. And I was just, if you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. And I just told myself, I was like, would it be better if the plane crashed? And at least I faced something, you know. I was like, yeah, it is, right? And that, like, as an adult, that was like where I was at though mentally. And if you can't, you must. And so that's something I think of all the time is if you can't, you must.
100%. That's something to live by, and it's something that I have within my set of programming that trying to instill within myself. If I fear it, I'm trapped it. And it's like I have to push through. One of those things for me was public speaking, and there was a time in my life where I experienced a lot of anxiety around public speaking. And so I started going to Toastmasters, and that helped me a lot. I think over a period of 2 years, I went to maybe 30 or 40 meetings. That was life-changing. I really enjoyed that. And now public speaking is something that I look forward to. And another thing was also don't like syringes and giving blood. And so I went and gave blood. And I remember I was there. I felt like I was going to pass out.
Yeah.
Just the idea, like someone drawing blood and seeing that blood bag getting moved around.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like this is awful. But 100%. The only way is through the eye of the storm and just pushing towards the thing that is hard to do. And obviously, that's not always something you need to be doing. Just do the hard thing. Sometimes it can really fire back at you, but it's helped me tremendously with just overcoming life days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Good for you.
How's this, Doc?
It's interesting. I have a little bit of I don't know what you're like a dry, smoky feel inside my back.
Yeah,
It's like remaining. Yeah.
absolutely. And like water, like I drink a lot of water. I usually have tea with my cigars, and I drink a crap ton.
So it's normal that you drink a lot of.
Oh yeah. I have
okay.
I have to have some sort of fluid whenever I'm having. Otherwise, I get way too dry. But it's become my go-to ritual at least once a week, just to have a cigar.
So once a week you smoke.
Yeah, and depending on the occasion as well. Sometimes I would have friends or someone visiting Latvia, and it's like, hey, let's go for a cigar.
Yeah.
And
I've got to imagine, like I said, this is not a place that I've been, but it's got to be a good networking thing. Like there's got to be a lot of other guys out there that probably love to say, have you tried the new shaman, whatever? And it probably is a great intro to a ton of people, I'm guessing.
oh yeah, I've had some life-changing conversations over cigars, and one very fun one was in Orlando, Florida. I was at a Funnel Hackers event. I don't know if you know ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
And his event is like the mecca of like tech marketing and just marketing in general, because he has a SaaS called ClickFunnels, and I think it's more so in the downtrend now, but he really changed the space over the past 10, 15 years. And I went to the ClickFunnels event with a friend, and there I got to meet a lot of people just by offering cigars, like just carrying cigars with me and offering them.
That's what it
is super key. And then you just get 40 minutes, an hour of quality time with them. One person in particular, he's a growth consultant, 7-figure growth consultant, and he sat down, and I remember his questions were so straight and to the point. All right, like, how much do you make? What do you do? And all of his questions were around me, and it was very direct, very like interrogation style. And then he said, listen, you need to understand yourself if you want to succeed. And he gave me a whole bunch of personality tests to do, which really helped. one of them was MBTI. Got big into MBTI after that. Another was like the type of leadership.
Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, Myers-Briggs
Yeah.
test. And it was maybe like around 6 different tests around your, not even cognitive and IQ abilities, but more so kind of like what kind of lens have you have? Because the premise is if you understand your natural strength and you understand yourself, you can last longer doing the same thing versus another person who might be a lot higher IQ than you. If their energy level drops from doing that same thing way faster than yours, you can heed them. And those are the types of tests that they usually do, like C exec level when they look for executives. They usually have them go through those rounds of tests.
Yeah.
And so what I've realized about myself is that I'm actually very analytical, and I like building systems. I like planning. I'm not as strong impromptu. And so that's why in something like Toastmasters, there is impromptu speaking where they give you a topic and like you got to talk for 2.
Yeah.
So something like that is very productive for me because
Sure.
that's a place where I lack just impromptu.
I'll give you my insight onto like that personality stuff. I've never heard anybody say this, and that's the only reason I'm saying it on here is because possibly it's novel for anyone. I don't know. So he's talking the Myers-Briggs, which is means your personality is like ESTJ, and so it's spelled Jung, but Young, it's pronounced Young. I think his name's William Young, was the guy that created this. Brilliant dude to have just thought of things from such a big perspective, regardless. So if you look at a line, and on this end you have introvert, and on this end you have extrovert, and let's call it from 1 to 100. If you're 99% introverted, 1% extroverted, you're extreme introvert, or the other, or halfway in the middle, 50-50, or any variance in between. So, what got me thinking about this was, there's this guy, Andrew Tate, that I'd seen online, and he's a very impressive communicator and whatever. But I just started watching more of him, and I was thinking, I wonder if this guy is an introvert or an extrovert. I know you know what I'm talking about. So what do you think? You think he's an introvert or an extrovert?
I think he's more extroverted, but I've heard that more so in his private life. When people meet him, it's more so he likes to keep to himself more and just do work.
Interesting. Okay. I've heard the same thing. I've met other people that have talked about him like that. Here's what I think. I before I even was familiar with him, there was a minister at a church that I went to many, many years ago that I've always found to be an extraordinarily impressive guy. And I thought the same thing about him in this regard. Was he an introvert or was he extroverted? Was he sensing or was he intuitive? Was he thinking or was he feeling? Was he perceiving or was he judging? Those are the contrasting ends of all that. And the answer is this. The answer is this. Yes. That's the answer. Okay. So, yeah. Is Andrew Tate an introvert or is he an extrovert? Yes. Is he a sensing guy or an intuiting guy, you think more so? Yes. That's the answer is yes. So, he's very talented, obviously, and, a very broad, huge person, right? Like he just has a great capacity and a lot of different spectrums. Not all of us do. A lot of us specialize more, zoned into one area. It's not a matter to me that I think you need to, let's just say that you're hyper extroverted, that you need to be like, okay, I need to learn how to become an introvert. You just need to learn how to become something of that and get that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're so extroverted, because I'm not, I'm probably in the middle, closer to introverted. But if you're super extroverted and you can't even spend time with me and accept and at least understand that I just need a little bit of a breathing space sometimes, just to kind of like not hear anything, then you're not very strong in my opinion. Like you need to be able to get that. And so what I started noticing was like all these top tier, absolute top tier players are everything. Like, is he introverted or is he extroverted? I'd say he goes up to about 90% of extroversion, and I'd say he goes down to about 10% of introversion. He's all of that space right there. Is he an intuiting person, like where he can walk into the room and just kind of get a grasp of what's going on and just get a feel. You just understand people. You understand exactly what you're feeling right now. I think I do, or is it a sensing person? A sensing person, like, I need to ask you, and I told you, what are you feeling right now? And you have to tell me, and you say, I'm actually feeling kind of sad. Okay. I just accepted. That's sensing. Like you just, you said that, and now I'm just taking that as the truth. You've got to be able to do all of that. And so that's been my biggest takeaway from all that testing is, if you want to be the top tier guy and at the absolute top of the game, there's no area where you're like, okay, I'm just really, really good at thinking, or I'm just really, really emotional and good at feeling. No. It's all of it. You gotta be able to be all of it with your employees. You got that guy that just says, I would be honest with you, I appreciate the words that you give me and all that. I really am just looking for the best commission package, my man. You give me your best commission package and I'll do the best I can for you. I'll be very happy when you tell me I'm a great guy, but I really need the best package you got. All right. You flip over into thinking mode, right? And you build that for him, whatever. And then you also know how to tap into that person that needs the word, and you're the feeling guy, and you're all of it. You're all of it. That's what you got to be. And when you find yourself hyper specialized, like you say, you're looking just a super extroverted guy. Now you've got some work to do. You've got to learn how to build out that introvert somewhat.
I love to think of them as muscle groups. Like, yes, you might be extroverted, but do you know, like one of the biggest lessons I've had, I think in the army, one of my biggest takeaways was just knowing when to shut up, knowing when to stop asking the question and just like listen and wait for the right moment. And if you are, let's say, an intuitive guy, you're kind of more so in the clouds as opposed to sensing observant, where you like doing things step by step, you like being given a certain set of instructions on how to operate. It's important to work on those muscle groups as well.
Yeah.
But it is likewise also important to understand, okay, at my most basic, most fundamental level, if I'm exhausted, I default to actuate.
Of course. Absolutely.
I'll end up using my biceps more than my triceps to lift.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Tracking that we're almost at time, would you have a few extra minutes for a rapid fire round of question?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'll let you finish off the cigar there if you want. I think I'm starting to get that little bit of what I think you've described as.
Yeah, the buzz.
Uh-huh.
Man, I love the buzz. I was going to say, it's been a while since I had one on Monday, which arguably is too long. Some of the viewers end up having like 3 a day. I have a Brazilian friend, oh my God, he smokes 5 a day. You never see him without a cigar.
Yeah.
He's always visiting Riga and always cigar in hand. His go-to is just working off the phone. He's got a business or a few businesses. He does mergers and acquisition. That's his thing. He now buys out businesses.
Oh, cool.
Just always on the phone and always with a cigar in hand.
Yeah. So these are rapid fires questions. Rapid fire means one paragraph, one sentence, one word. What does it mean?
Basically, it's like a interrogation round where I just throw questions at you, and you can go as deep as you'd like, and I might ask some follow-up questions around the topic.
Okay.
Question number 1: best business you ever built?
Yeah, I don't know what you've read about. Maybe I've done I call the Dubai Shuffle a little too much. Made myself look a little too good online, maybe. I've not built like a bunch of businesses or anything like that. I've a small handful of things that I've done, and I'm about 50-50 with success and failure. So, this is not answering your question, but I'm going to pivot to something that's useful. I think a useful answer is don't fall into the thinking of that because you're a good business guy and that you've had success in one business that you'll absolutely do good in another one. I have found out that's absolutely not the case. And you might have sort of the little bit of the bones of what it takes to succeed, but yeah, you're not guaranteed you're not guaranteed success just because you're good at business or because you've had business talent in the past in a certain thing. So that is just one example of that. Is I've got a farm in the U.S. and for 10 years now, I've been trying to figure out a way to make that like just not my biggest pain point in my life of just energy. And it's one of those beautiful things in my life, and it's absolutely the biggest thorn in my side as well. And I've always thought, just like I did with business, I'll be able to take the pain from this and figure out how to make it beautiful and fix it. And I haven't, and I'm probably going to sell it. And is that giving up? I don't know. I don't think of those terms, but
It's exiting.
it's exiting. Yeah, it's exiting. But I've done nothing but lose money on the farm. I wasn't ever looking at it like I'm going to become rich on a farm. It was never that. But I just always thought I'll surely be able to make it like a zero, right? Like just not red all the time. You know, like I'll just be able to make enough off of it. But no, it just wasn't my thing. There was no component of it I'm actually good at. And I wasn't good at even finding people to help me with it or anything. So, again, I'm going to spit out of that question and say to your audience, be real slow to sell, and make sure you're very clear on your reasons of why you're selling, what you're getting out of it. Is it emotional? Is it a negative emotion? Like, are you selling because you've got a problem that you just don't want to face? And if you just face the problem, you know, maybe you'd feel totally different about your business. Just be willing to be really clear about those things, because I heard this from Grant Cardone one time. He was telling the story, but it was a story about him talking to a billionaire. And he asked the billionaire, he said, which piece of property in your work experience that you've done, which piece of property do you most regret selling? And the guy's answer was all of them. Yeah. And you just very rarely are going to do better than just keeping stuff. Almost invariably, to have the mindset, instead of, okay, I'm going to exit A and do B, it's just I'm going to have A and B and then C and then D. And you just keep thinking in those terms. Because sell the business, like I said, especially lower end businesses that sell like 3x profit or anything like that, that means I can buy that from you. And if I just am willing to grind in it for 3 years, I now own the business, and all of your lifeblood that you've put into that is now mine. It took you 15 years to build it. It took me 3 years to have a bank pay it off for me for the profit that it was thrown off. And now all that effort you put into it is mine. So be real slow and really thoughtful about anything that you exit. And unless you have just extraordinarily good reasons, whether that's property or anything, you're almost invariably better just to keep stuff.
That's a great piece of advice. What's the worst business decision you've made so far?
Worst business decision I've made so far? Yeah, I'm going to say nothing. Nothing. I've not made any bad business decisions.
Best hire you ever made?
Because why would I answer it other than that, honestly? Like,
Well, it's one thing to look in retrospect and say, okay, like maybe this I could have done different, but it is different from saying I regret something.
yeah, I regret it, or even a bad one. It's like, I don't know, maybe it would have changed, maybe it would be the butterfly flapping its wings on one side of the earth that leads to the hurricane on the other side of the world. You know that phrase, that saying that uh, if that wasn't for that decision I made, I'm not going to call it a bad one. It who knows what that little butterfly flap could have led to over there. So yeah, I probably would say I've not made any bad decisions. I've just made decisions. Next thing you said, what was my worst employee?
Best hire you ever made.
Best hire. I've had, I'm going to do the exact opposite of your question right here. And I'm going to say every single one of them have been my best hires. They've all been great.
Okay.
I've got, and that includes, I've got guys that have, showed up to people's houses drunk, and, they've, literally gone to the bathroom in people's yards, in their front yards, and had a customer call because they stepped in what a guy had done in his front yard. So when I say all of them, I'm including those people. Yeah. What did that do? It built a system. That built a system. Like, okay, guys, let me tell you what you cannot do in people's front yards. Yeah, it's true.
Everything falls back towards the system because it's lessons that are made.
License, you say?
Lessons.
Lessons. Yes. It's just, yeah. So I have no bad hires. They're all great hires.
One book every business owner should read,
The E-Myth Revisited.
especially practical for legacy industries, I think.
Probably more so. I don't know. It's such an old book, and going beyond that, I just, at this point, I would have no interest reading any business book that's relatively practical at all. I'd be reading like old school, like Dale Carnegie, Power of Positive Thinking, some like evergreen type stuff like that doesn't go old, that doesn't change with time. I've even read some more modern business books. I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's even written in 2005, it's just dated. The information that's too dated. So I'd only be really looking at evergreen material. And if you think there's some practical business book to read, I would ask AI to summarize it for me and read that. And before I put 12 hours of time into that, I'm not going to spend 12 hours time learning anything when I could spend that 12 hours playing like on my phone on a pool billiards app, or watching movies on Netflix, or going to the gym, or talking to my friends and family. Nah, the business book's not getting that time from me.
Most overrated business advice.
Most burn the boats is the most overrated one. Yes.
Don't be in a rush to quit or exit.
No, burn the boats. Burn the boats mean the idea of the Greek army that goes to fight the war, and they say, well, it goes badly, we can always just run back to the ships. And the guy says, well, check this out, and lights them on fire.
Yeah.
It says, now you're not going to run back to the ships, So it's all go David Goggins, right? Logs, pick them up, go forward, and nothing will stop us now, and we'll never quit, and there's no recourse, it's only forward, and all that. Yeah, nonsense. Like, terrible advice.
Thailand or USA? If there was a gun to your head, if you could choose one spot.
Don't listen to what I say, listen to what I do. I'm here. Don't listen to what I say, watch what I do.
A business you would start tomorrow if you were starting from zero.
Give me some more limitations on that. Same age, same country, like give me a box in a little bit.
Let's say you were my age. You had unlimited energy.
Years old, and I live.
Let's say you live out west. So Canada, US.
Okay. So I'm a Western guy. I'm 28 years old, and I'm looking to get any kind of business that I can do. Okay. Here's the right answer to that. The right answer to that is, and you got no money. I'm assuming you've got like,
Let's say no money.
okay. So yeah, no problem. Here's what you do. Unless you're the sort of tech guy that thinks that you're going to be able to get on top of AI and stay ahead of everything that's coming to like what AI is going to be crushing. Um, and that's a different answer, and an answer I'm not qualified to give. For the rest of you guys that are like like me, like they're just normal guys, the answer is this. There are lots and lots of baby boomers and the people between about 55 and 70 years old that have the businesses that you use every day. And so like a plumbing company, an electrical company, a dry cleaner, just the normal day-to-day stuff. And they don't know what to do with that business. And they're listening to what I'm saying right now, totally understanding it, and also scared that they are going to become useless in this world. And they're terrified of that feeling of, wait, you mean if I'm not the guy running this electrical company, who even am I at that point? And do I even offer any significant value to this world? And what you do as a 28-year-old is you go into that guy and you say, I see here that you have an electrician business. Let me tell you about myself. Let me lead with this. I have $0. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let me tell you the rest of my story. I've always loved the electrical business. I love business. I'm doing everything I can to learn more about in this industry. I'm from this area. I'm not leaving this area. I love it here. And I'm just going to tell you exactly what I want. And if what I want would ever possibly align with something that might work for you, then I think we should talk. But here's what I want. I want to own this business that you have. I want to do exactly what you've done. I think it's amazing what you've built. I can imagine the amount of pride you must have in looking at this right here. It has to feel amazing to you. And I could also imagine that the feeling of all of a sudden giving that to some private equity company is probably, it makes you like feel sick to your stomach to think of some private equity company coming in just because you got the most amount of money from them. Look, I know you've been doing this for 40 years. I know you don't need the money. I see how you live. You don't need more money. That's not what you need. What you need is somebody that's going to keep your legacy intact. I want to offer you that. And I would like to take this business over. It's called, Johnson Electrical, because Johnson is your last name. And guess what it's going to be called 40 years from now? It's going to be called Johnson Electrical. And there's going to be this sign here that I'm going to make up that talks about our history is going to remain on this front wall for as long as I own this business. And I need you to teach it to me. I need you to help me. And I'm not talking about tomorrow when you give me this business. I'm talking about 10 years from now. I still need you to talk to me. I need you to help me. I need you to advise me. I need you to be my mentor. I want you to be all those things for me. And what I'm going to do for you, I don't have enough money, but you still need to be treated fairly as you exit this business. I'm going to take this over, and here's how you're going to be bought out in the most fair way. Here's how all this is going to look. Here's what I can do for you. And you just come up with what all those answers are, and you present it to that guy. So all I've done is take all the things that I know that guy feels, and I've given him answers for those feelings and said, here's how we're going to do all that. And you're going to pay for all of it because I don't have any money. But what I do have is I've got my youth, I've got my energy, and I've got my love for this. And I can document it, whatever we need to do, so that you know that I cannot change the name of this business for X number of years or whatever. Your honor is going to remain attached to this. And that's the things that he wants. That means more to him than, oh, so you're going to give me 6 million instead of 5.5. Okay. Well, let me think about it. You don't care. It doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is how he feels.
in the legacy, because ultimately the people that are older, they care about different things. It's different priorities.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's extremely valuable. Final question. If you were to leave this world tomorrow, what would be your final message to the youth?
Ooh. If I was to leave this world tomorrow, what would be my final message to the youth? How old is the? Are you considering yourself youth, or are you talking like actual
Let's guys in their 20s.
guys in their 20s? Okay. The first thing I would say is that not everybody would answer this the same way. So there'll be some guys that identify with this, and if you do, awesome, and if you don't, that's okay as well. I'd say more important than like where you're going and what your that big thing out there in front of you is to make sure that you don't have things behind you that are going to bite you. So you have all that stuff settled, and when you've got that stuff settled, then you can move forward to that thing. And
I'm going to ask the question again then.
Okay.
John, if you were to leave the world tomorrow and you were to give your last message to the youth, let's say 20, early 30s, 20-year-olds, what would it be?
It would be that you and kind of to the burn the most thing. You have that thing out in front of you that everybody tells you that you want to charge towards, and you just need to go hunt the money and hunt all that stuff. I would be more cautious and more considerate about what's going to hunt you down from behind, and handle that stuff. Handle that stuff first. And the good news is I'm going to tell you exactly what those two things are. So the thing out in front of us, especially for the young guys, you're pretty much thinking in terms of money at this point. Of we all know to make a dent in the world, and the money is sort of the way we quantify that. The two things that can hunt you down from behind is number one on this side is your body, and number two on this side is women. So those two things, if you don't have those two things controlled, you absolutely, there's no greater vulnerability that you have. I can tell you with pretty much absolute certainty that my not being in shape, I'm in the exact physical condition at this moment that I deserve to be in. And Anatoly, who's been boxing every day, is in the exact physical condition that he deserves to be in. Anatoly also has a net worth that is to the dollar what you were worth. That if you ever said to me, John, I've got this much money, but I just know I'm the kind of guy that's worth so much more. I'm like, no, you're not. You might be in the future, but today you're not. Whatever that dollar is today is what you're worth. And mine's the same. I'm worth exactly what I'm worth here in this moment. I've got the body that I deserve to have. Like, I can hear myself talking right now and I sound congested, and I deserve to be congested. I've gone back and forth with congestion problems since COVID, and it's because my immune system was not strong enough to fight off whatever needed to be fought off to keep that from being then a prolonged problem that I've had since that time in COVID. Well, why was my immune system not strong enough? Because I was fat and out of shape.
You have exactly how much you deserve at this point.
Yeah. And I was, the specific mention I made was like, I was talking about my congestion, and it's because I have the exact health that I deserve. And Anatoly knows this. He's seen me throughout this journey. I've lost 200 and something pounds, and I've got about another 100 to go, which hopefully this year will be finished up. And at that point, I will be getting into the body that I deserve. And but to the two things behind you that are hunting you down, that are going to harm you. Um, uh, I probably am at 1/10 of what my net worth would be, is my guess, if I was not in the physical body in the shape that I'm in. I've probably literally hamstrung myself by 90%, just based on energy, based on avoiding what I would avoid in life. So many things. I got what I deserved, which is still great. I'm not complaining about that. But if you are, if you're not going to control your drinking, if you're going to be fat, if you're going to have negative health, diabetes, and what that's going to impact you, just the physical way that you look by not being healthy, and how many people, without even knowing that they're saying no to you, will say no to you just because of things like that. It's costing you a ton of money. So everything physical, and I want to add on to that, especially you young guys, that would include things like gambling, the drinking, and the big ones like this porn. That stuff is so incredibly toxic to you. And that thing you think you're going to make a ton of money out here and all that, whatever, that's on that side is what you're looking at needing to fight off. And to this side is women. If you don't have that part of your life locked down, and by locked down, I'm defining that as is that cannot become a liability for you. Here's the flip of this, where it gets exciting, is that if you look like Anatoly, and you can fight, you can do your Muay Thai and all that sort of thing. So you've got this direction over here, you've got that locked down. And then you've got the female thing totally locked down. Now you've got, instead of two potential liabilities, you've got the two biggest assets you could ever dream of, would be to know how to deal with women and know how to have that on lockdown, and ideally have your woman's situation where you want it to be so that it serves you. And if you're physically in a way, capacity, like, it's so hard for me as somebody out of shape to reject someone that's in good shape. So like, if you try selling me something, I've always got that in the back of my head of like, but this guy's doing better in life than I am. And so I sort of probably should say yes to whatever it is you're selling. Like, because you just have a big advantage over me there. And I see you as elevated above me in that regard. So if you've got those two things where they're assets and not liabilities, now you can move forward at such an incredible speed to all those other things out in front of you that you want, without risk, without anything that you're, is going to come and be biting you, from behind. Those are the things that are going to slow you down. They'll slow you down so incredibly much. Women is a big one that can be such a liability. Nothing can just automatically neuter your worth and your actual worth, like net worth, by 75% faster than what a woman can. And I'd say the 75% net worth is the small one when you start considering energy, like the amount of energy that you can potentially losing. It's such a leak. It's such a massive leak in the system, when it could be an asset. It could be an asset that's making you actually go faster, move faster, go forward better. You could have that. Like you could have that instead. So that'd be the thing that I think young guys need to hear is you keep your eyes focused on where you're going, the money thing and all that, building that guy. You got to start building him. But more critically is you're building the guy that knows how to handle these two components of your life. And if you get those two areas strong, get those two areas solid where you're bulletproof, you're going to find the money is the easiest one of all that. The money is actually quite simple.
Yeah, the physicality and the woman component are the foundation of the money, and they all kind of tie in together.
And if you don't have it, I don't care how much money you've got. We all have we've seen the horror stories of the Bezos. Bezos, the richest woman in the world, is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. You know, she took half of it. Like, just that's it. So you really can't underestimate how in a smart woman, a smart conniving woman out there, she's absolutely looking at you thinking in those terms. So you got to be dialed in on that stuff. And the good news is that you can dial in those things, then they become the massive assets, and you can just move forward at a super fast speed, right?
Absolutely. And even if we take someone at the peak of their physical performance and fame and money, Tom Brady, who had it all.
Yeah.
He's the top dog. And then something happened there, either within framing or within the history or within the way that he set up the relationship, where it's just like now when we think of Tom Brady, we think of that story that has become such a massive part of his reputation. Where it's like, man, look what happened to that legend. Look what happened to that guy. Look how he got massacred in this thing. How he got disrespected. It's tragic. It's tragic to see, and so many men have fallen. Just because of that one aspect, just because of the partner or the woman that they choose to hang around with.
How many like MMA fighters that are like the peak of not only physical, also the peak of masculine, and what we would call the true like alpha top dogs in that regard, but then they don't have this side controlled at all. You got guys like committing suicide over a girl. I mean, come on. It's like just society is really it's a true brain virus of what is created for men to be reacting in ways like that, completely unnecessary. You should never be feeling feelings like that in any capacity. So and that's just all very controllable and can be, like I said, can be a complete asset in your life if you just have the right. You got to know how though, like because if you where most people get educated, especially on women, is through what? Like either it's a little bit of observing your own family, which almost none of us are envious of that. After that, you got like movies and you got TV shows and you got songs and all, all these just horrible things that are, I played this song out the other day. You're way too beautiful, girl. That's why it'll never work. You'll have me. I don't even say the word. It's the worst of all curse words you could possibly say, in my opinion. I literally won't even say it. Just think about that entire frame that if you're singing that song, because a girl's pretty, you're not going to be able to successfully date her because of her immense beauty and the fact that you're going to be so crushed by the way it leaves you that you're gonna off switch. I mean, come on, like that. But that's what, and that's like a black guy saying it, like a black guy who the like the rapper, tough guy, all that image stuff didn't matter. Like it's we've been programmed to think these absolutely horrible things. The white schmuck that the whole family laughs at, and he works all day and makes the money, but even the 9-year-old kid mocks him because how is he so dorky and silly, in the romantic comedy or the movie or the TV show and all that. That's what you're up against, is what everybody wants you to be and what you've learned. You got to unprogram all that, and you've got to put in stuff that actually works, build you to be the right kind of guy. Get your body dialed in, and I promise you the money thing's easy. Dude, if I can do the money thing, I'm not high IQ. I'm not had no natural gifts. Like I said, I'm weighed almost 600 pounds or something, and I was, making millions of dollars. Like the money thing's easy. You can do that. You can get that figured out. Just don't lose on the other two things.
Well said. John, if people wanted to find you and connect with you, where can they find you?
I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing to sell you guys. I wish I did. That's bad on me. Actually, I have a new business idea. I'm gonna mention it to you when we get off here. But I'm on Instagram. The current handle is Jonathan_BKK_USA. I'll repeat that. It's the name Jonathan_BKK_USA.
I love it. John, thank you so much. A lot of lessons for the
I
audience.
enjoyed it. Thank you,
And I
my
hope
friend.
to have another one with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you having me. It's definitely an honor, and it's very admirable to me to see a guy at 28 years old. Last thing, and we're gonna get off here. At 28 years old, I was considering living in a storage unit because it was going to cost me $100 a month, and I had 2 dogs that were going to live with me in there. And I thought for $100 a month and plus the cost for some electricity in there, and I can probably get like a little thing to cook some food in there. And the amount of money I had, I thought I can get by for 1 year doing this. That was where I was at 28 years old, literally thinking about living in a storage unit because my $400 a month apartment was too expensive, and I wanted to be closed off and close myself off from society. That's where I was at 28 years old. Let that be the last thing you guys hear. I'm 49 now, and I've been pretty much independently wealthy for the last 10 years, has been ascending. But so from 28 years old, I was almost homeless to, within 10 years being pretty set. And at that point, within that 10 years, I still was having all sorts of struggles with anxiety, and it was obviously still obese, very obese, and things like that. But still able to win. The bar is really, really low. Everybody's pretty dang pathetic. Everybody's pretty dang weak, and your competition is not that good. You just really don't got to do that much to win. Let's make that be the last thing that I say. There's really, you don't have to work that hard to win. There you go.
Amen. And you're a massive inspiration to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.